Today is Saturday, the 1st of August 2026, and I am here with Benjamin. And we are going to talk about the beginning of his healing process at the end of 2022.
Chapter 12, Raging Fire. I landed in Houston in mid-June. The environment was the same one I had left in May. The same house, the same garage, the same gym, the same room I had been running the system in before the Netherlands, and over the next 2 months the cycle intensified the way I had known it would. 1 or 2 days clean, then 4 or 5 days of smoking all day and binging and purging 1 to 2 times a day. Then clean again for a stretch, then back in the cycle. The clean stretches were shorter than they had been in the spring. The active stretches were longer. The same engine, the same fuel, the same failure to reach what was actually underneath, just running more frequently now. What was new that summer was the barefoot walk. 30 to 45 minutes through the park every morning, no shoes, feeling the ground through my feet, something I had learned in Zutphen, sending sensation from the soles of my feet into my brain, rebuilding the neural connections from the ground up. Those walks were meditative. The ground changed depending on when I went in the morning, and the dew was still on the grass in the afternoon, and the concrete radiated heat from the Houston summer sun after a thunderstorm, and the ground was soft and mushy underfoot. The body had to be present to the ground in a way it couldn't be present to most other things. By the time the end of August arrived, I started packing for the return to Northwestern. The cycle had been running on that compressed wave for 2 months, and after packing my car, I hit the road myself for the 17-hour drive back to Evanston. I did the drive in a day, left just before 4 in the morning, arrived just after 9 at night. I was alone in the car this time, no Sam co-piloting, no mother in the passenger seat, so I kept music or a podcast running the whole way. Anything to keep the inside of the car from going quiet. Anything to keep me from falling asleep behind the wheel. A new apartment this time, a studio, just me. No Sam, no Trey, no shared kitchen, no shared bathroom. One room, one brain, one engine. But the same engine of trying to do more, push harder, continue to do, had me immediately back in the old cycle. The shape of the days that fall was the same shape it had been every time before, just with new specifics. Every morning, 4 or 4:30, out of bed, barefoot running shoes on, drive down to the lakefront. I'd walk first, 54 beats per minute on the metronome, the pace at which the left brain learns and heals, 5 or 10 minutes at that tempo. Then a jog, 10 or 15 minutes around the lake at 130 to 150 beats per minute, the same cadence I had run in Zutphen 3 months earlier. The sun would rise while I was out there. I'd stop on the beach, take my shoes off, put my feet in the sand, watch the sun come up over Lake Michigan, and back to the apartment, gym bag, back out to the rec center, a full workout, then home, shower, get ready, head to class. Classes were back in person that fall, one every morning, Monday through Friday. Do. The engine running for 8 hours without any fuel. And after class, the cycle was waiting. Smoke, binge, purge, sometimes again later in the day, almost every day, for the 2 months between the start of September and the end of October. There was no dramatic moment this time. No friend's apartment, no parking garage, no body telling the mind in real time that the system was breaking. By the third medical leave, the decision didn't need a moment. The body had been telling me for weeks. I was listening. At the end of October 2022, I called my academic counselor again and went home. A third medical leave, the third time in 18 months stepping out of Northwestern. The leaves themselves were starting to mean something, not as failures of the recovery, but as signals. 3 times I had built systems for stroke recovery and now drug addiction recovery. Three times those systems had broken inside the same body. The pattern was the message. The way I was approaching the healing wasn't the way healing actually occurs. I knew that by the time I got on the plane home, whether consciously or unconsciously, the body had been telling me. I had finally heard. I didn't have the next answer yet, but the body had stopped accepting the current one. I returned home at the end of October, a third medical leave, another return to the same house. But unlike the previous two, this time I wasn't coming home to push harder. I wasn't coming home to do more. That November, I started working with a therapist named Kim Simons. She was based in Canada. Our sessions were over video. Somewhere in our first few weeks of working together, she introduced me to a book, No Bad Parts by Dick Schwartz, and the framework underneath it, Internal Family Systems IFS. The premise was that what we experience as ourself isn't one voice, it's many. Different parts, different voices speaking to each other moment to moment. The parts aren't pathology, they have roles. Every part is trying to take care of something, even when the way it takes care looks destructive from the outside. From the first conversation, it made sense. The drugs, the binging and purging, the constant doing, the constant action. Every one of those had felt like another voice taking complete control of the body. I had been calling that voice the unconscious self because I didn't have language for it. IFS was the language, and there was a part of me that took over during the binges, a part that needed the smoke, a part that purged when the body got too full. They weren't me, they were parts of me, parts trying to send me a message if I would listen. And there were the other parts too. The pre-stroke Benjamin, the post-stroke Benjamin, the perfectionist underneath both of them. The most available part to start with was the most frequent sensation in the body, the pit in my stomach. I sat with it in a safe environment, journal next to me. The instruction was to start from the physical location in the body and follow whatever came up. The first sessions, what came up was the thoughts. I'd track them across the page, words, phrases, whatever was running in my mind while the pit sat there. It took the tracking of multiple triggering events before what was underneath the thoughts started to surface. The emotions the thoughts had been running on, the feelings the body had been holding the whole time, right there in the pit. Shame, guilt. The journal page in front of me had words for what had been sitting in the pit since 2018. For the first time, the inside of me had a map. Around the same time I was working with Kim, I started practicing Tai Chi. The acupuncturist I had been seeing in Houston, who was helping me with marijuana cravings, introduced me to his Sifu, his teacher Sifu Gary, at the end of November. Sifu Gary had not had a stroke, but from a different set of health complications, he had lost full control of his foot, cramps in his feet at night, the same cramps I had been managing since 2017. That was enough to know I was in the right place. Whatever he was going to teach me physically was going to reach the parts of the body that nothing else had reached. We met for the first time at a Dunkin' Donuts. The moment I walked through the door, before we had even started talking, he saw through every mask I had been wearing. The first thing he said to me was this: You look calm, cool, and collected, but I can tell you're a raging fire on the inside. There was an overwhelming sense of relief in the body. Someone was seeing me for what I was, not for what I had been projecting. The mask hadn't worked on him. It hadn't even needed to be addressed. He had walked past it the moment I walked through the door. What I didn't know yet was what Tai Chi was going to do for the rest of me. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The work started in two places. The first was the book. My Sifu gave me the Tao of Tai Chi Chuan. The same way Kim had given me No Bad Parts, my Sifu gave me the text that held the philosophy underneath the practice he was going to teach me. The second was the body. He taught me his gentle flexibility routine, a sequence that warmed the body from the eyes all the way down to the toes, every joint, every connection, every part of the body addressed in sequence. And the first time I ran it, a feeling of warmth moved through the whole body, blood pushing into places that hadn't received any conscious attention in years, the fingers, the toes, the wrists, the ankles, parts of the body I had stopped focusing on because the willpower-based recovery had moved past them as soon as the basic function returned. The gentle flexibility routine was sending blood back into them one at a time, and for the first time the warmth landed the same on both sides of the body, the right and the left receiving the same blood, the same attention, the same return. It was the opposite of every workout I had run since 2018. Not pushing, not loading, not optimizing, just warming, just attending, just bringing awareness through the whole body, top to bottom, without forcing anything. For the first time in this process since the stroke, I had begun to draw the map of my body and of my mind.